Hi guys and welcome back to our channel, where we recap your favorite games for you. Today we are going to recap a martial arts themed action game developed by Slocklap and published by Devolver Digital called Sifu. So without further ado, let's begin. The game's storyline begins 8 years ago from present day, where we see a martial artist in black costume entering a building which seems to be a martial arts academy. As the mysterious fighter makes his way through the academy by defeating several other fighters, he reaches the academy's owner Master Sifu's room. It is revealed that the mysterious fighter is none other than Sifu's own student named Yang, and he is there to demand a valuable item from his master, but as Sifu refuses to give it to him, they both engage in a one-on-one fight. After an intense battle, he manages to defeat Sifu and heads towards the valuable item to take it. This is when a young boy arrives at the scene, and the mysterious fighter orders one of his goons to take him out. The scene then shifts to the young boy knocked out on the ground with a magical bracelet in his hand which gives him the power to get back up. As he gets back on his feet, he rushes towards Sifu, and we learn that this young boy is none other than Sifu's son. He learns that his father has been murdered, and we see him transitioning into a young vengeful fighter, preparing to avenge the death of his father from those mysterious goons. 8 years go by and the young boy is finally prepared to go after his father's murderers. He starts with heading towards Fajar, the botanist. The boy goes through the alleyways of the city by beating Fajar's goons and soon enters a hallway full of his thugs. After successfully managing to beat all of them, he reaches Fajar's lab, where he is growing some sort of drug plants, and soon they both engage in a fight together. During the fight, Fajar decides to go beyond his basic form and activates the lab to grow the plants high enough to the ceiling, making it difficult for the young fighter to detect him during the battle. Even though Fajar uses all his cards against the boy, he still loses the fight and dies by the hand of Sifu's son. With one boss down, the boy goes after Sean, an underground club owner. As he makes his way through the club fighting Sean's men, he reaches a mysterious path which is set upon fire and guarded by more thugs. Sifu's son keeps on progressing through the path and ultimately reaches a bright burning arena where Sean is seen sitting on his throne being worshipped by one of his trainees who gives up his arms to him. Sean recognizes Sifu's son and asks his servant to leave, after which he gets into fight with the young boy. Sean is a distant fighter who uses a staff stick to attack the player, and he can be hard to handle if you lose the momentum and let him catch up on his fighting combos. After the first phase of the battle, Sean throws down a cigarette to the ground and smashes it with his staff, creating a huge combustion in the arena and setting everything around on fire, which ultimately increases his strength. However, this is not enough to stop Sifu's revengeful son, as he manages to disarm him and kills Sean with his own staff stick. With 2 bosses down and 3 more to go, Sifu's son decides to go after Kuroki, a Japanese artist with a love for striking visuals and surreal artistic experiences. He makes his way into the city's museum where Kuroki is executing an exhibition. As always, the boy is met with resistance at first, but soon he manages to make his way into a secret path where he experiences Kuroki's past memories and statues built by her showcasing different stories. The boy ultimately passes through this area and reaches a blank arena where he is faced with 2 otherworldly fighters. After defeating them, he unlocks the door to Kuroki's place of meditation, a snowy place which seems to be on top of a mountain somewhere in Japan. There, he finally faces Kuroki in a battle. Kuroki provides perhaps the most mechanically distinct 2-phase fight in the entire game. From a beautiful ballet to a brutal onslaught of blades, Kuroki can prove to be the most difficult fight for many players. After the first phase of the fight, she turns the arena into the middle of an ocean and decides to fight the boy with her sharp knives. Ultimately, she faces the same fate as the previous 2 bosses, and dies by her own knife which Sifu's son stabs in her chest at the end of the battle. Continuing his journey for revenge, the boy makes his way to the tower building in the city, which belongs to Jin Feng, an elderly kung fu master heading a powerful corporation and the 4th and second last boss in the game. Surprisingly, the boy is not attacked as soon as he enters the tower. Instead, he reaches the upper levels of the building where he sees an image of Jin Feng talking to him, revealing that she has been anticipating his arrival. As he tries to attack her, she disappears and the fighting begins in the tower. The young fighter makes his way to the lower levels of the tower, which takes him underground in a cave-like environment. There he fights Jin Feng's special bodyguard, and after defeating her, he reaches a dark cave arena, where Jin Feng reveals herself. Through her dialogues, we learn that Jin Feng is not actually the worst person, but the path she has chosen has forced her to be ruthless to protect her own interests. Jin Feng is adept with her roped weapon, capable of viciously fast attacks, but her age leaves her far more susceptible to weapon attacks than other bosses. During the battle, Sifu's son loses his age whenever he dies, but the magical bracelet given to him by his father restores him to an older age every time, reviving him and making him able to defeat Jean Fong. He finally strangles her with her own whip-like rope. With all the bosses and obstacles out of his way, the boy, who is now a man due to all the battle he has faced which caused him to age, enters the sanctuary built by Yang, the final boss and the leader of the gang that killed his father. We learn that years after betraying the protagonist's father, Yang turned into a medicinal philanthropist and now runs a therapy station somewhere in Japan. The player makes his way to Yang's office, where Yang explains why he killed his father, claiming that his father was a teacher to Yang and he betrayed Yang after he asked Sifu to hand over the magical pendant to him so he can heal people with terminal illness and kicked him out of the academy. This does not change a thing, as Sifu's son still seeks revenge for his father's death, and he would not stop until he has killed Yang. After the first phase of the battle in Yang's office, Yang kicks Sifu's son down and they are taken back to the same night when Sifu was killed, and the second phase of the battle takes place in the same courtyard where Yang killed Sifu. As the battle progresses, Sifu's son loses more lives and reaches an older age, but somehow still manages to defeat Yang. As the battle is ending, we see that Yang succeeds in grabbing the magical pendant that protects Sifu's son from death, but he is soon counterattacked and ultimately killed by Sifu's son. As the protagonists stand in front of Yang's dead body, he closes his eyes for a moment and opens them again to find himself in his childhood again, standing in front of two graves. He hears the voice of Sifu, which questions him if he has done the right thing. Was killing all those people the right thing to do? Has taking revenge changed anything for the good in the world? Is this why Sifu taught his son to fight? This leaves a question inside the protagonist's head, and the realization of revenge taking over his consciousness hits him. The ending explains to us that revenge might not always be the best solution to a past tragedy. For our review of this game, we would like to mention that one of the standout features of Sifu is its combat system, which is highly responsive and allows players to chain together a variety of attacks and combos. The game also features a parrying system, which allows players to deflect incoming attacks and counter with their own. The combat is challenging but rewarding, and players will need to master the mechanics to progress through the game. Another standout feature of Sifu is its art style, which is heavily influenced by Asian martial arts films. The game features vibrant colors and detailed character models, and the environments are beautifully rendered. The game also features a unique soundtrack that complements the game's setting and tone. Sifu also offers a variety of game modes, including a single-player campaign and online multiplayer. The single-player campaign is relatively short, but it offers a good introduction to the game's mechanics and serves as a good tutorial for new players. The online multiplayer mode allows players to compete against one another in various game modes, such as deathmatch and capture the flag. In conclusion, Sifu is a solid action game that offers fast-paced, melee-based combat and a unique art style. The game is challenging but rewarding, and players will need to master the mechanics to progress through the game. The game's art style is heavily influenced by Asian martial arts films, and the game features a unique soundtrack that complements the game's setting and tone. Sifu also offers a variety of game modes, including a single-player campaign and online multiplayer, which makes it a well-rounded game for players of all skill levels. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe for more great videos. We will see you in the next one.